Hi guys and welcome back to Yashi. Today with a market update video. We're going to talk about the real estate market, what people are saying out there, what the data is, and my personal opinion on how I am navigating this market. It's not a direct advice on what you should do, but I'm just giving you my perspective on all of this, which is a little bit contrarian from what you see around there. We're going to start with the normal basics. The number one thing that impacts your way of buying a house is the mortgage rate. You're getting a mortgage, it has an interest rate which is the cost that you're paying to the bank for them to lend you the money. It is one of the highest points as we've seen in the past 15 years. At today's rate, we are national average of 7.8%. This is bankrate.com. Of course, they will try to sell you some things cheaper, but the average is 7.8%. Why is that been happening? In the past 2 years, the Federal Reserve has been fighting inflation by pumping up the base Federal Reserve interest rates, which is making the cost of borrowing higher, which is also impacting the cost of borrowing for the final consumer when it comes to getting a mortgage. 7.8% means that for every $100,000 of money borrowed, the first year you're gonna pay $7,800 of interest only. So if you're buying the average house that is $400,000, that is 4 times that, so around 8 grand, that is 16, 32, $3,200. That's $32,000 just in interest. Sorry for that, I messed up. But that said, let's get into it. Nice and simple. What is the normal data that we're looking at? We're gonna look at the median sale price. The median sale price, while the entire world has been saying will go down, has gone down a little bit in the beginning of this year, but now has been recovering a lot and is close to the 2022 maximums we saw. We're still above 370K. How many homes are sold? This is one of the statistics that most, let's say, negative media are using to tell people that the market is going down. Home sales are down compared to 2022 and 2021. We can see it here. We are at around 70,000 homes sold in the past month. With that said, we're still not that far away from 2022 levels. But why is that? Is it because less people can afford a house? Is it because other reasons? We're gonna look into the main reason why people are not buying a house, which I believe is the average active listings, which is at the lowest point ever. We've never seen so little inventory as we saw at the beginning of 2022 and even today in 2023. This is the lowest point we've ever seen in the market in the past couple of years. We're still low. We're still under the 2021 levels where the market started to go crazy, when people started to flood the market and trying to buy up inventory. This is where you see this gigantic drop right here, but we're still at very low levels. What does this mean? Even if we had 100 buyers and now we have 50, we still have less homes for those 50 buyers. So we have 25 homes. So people are still competing to buy these little houses that are available. But why are so few houses available? It just takes a small research and a little bit of intuition to get there. In the past 5 years, people bought homes at an interest rate of 3 to 4% max, which is among the lowest interest rates in the history of the United States of America. And we're getting now to a point where interest rates are 2.5 times higher than that. What does this mean? The average owner who wants to potentially upgrade and sell their house to buy a new one find themselves in a situation where they would have a mortgage cost that is not slightly higher than what we already have. It will be twice as high because they will be buying something bigger with a higher interest rate. So the decision of making the change has a high economical impact because in most cases they cannot afford it and they locked in such an interest rate, such a low interest rate that they're just sitting in it. It's like, I'm building equity, I'm paying next to nothing in interest, it's making me richer. Why sell a house to get something at a super high interest rate that is damaging and not really affordable, let's say, effective and efficient for me and my family? Let's stick together, let's grow in this house together until the situation gets better. And this is leading to most of the home sales deriving from new built homes and not secondhand homes. We still have a lot of secondhand homes, but more and more, like the percentage of homes that are being sold is more and more on the new side. And let's look at that, because another factor that impacts inventory is how many homes are being built. Of course, we have a lag of a couple of months between pulling out a permit and building a house. And if we look at data, since 2022, where interest rates started going up, the permits has been going down a lot. The builders have been very scared. Their interest rates have been so high that even getting money out to invest and build a house to then sell it, which is more difficult to sell because not every buyer can afford a new house now, is not really incentivizing builders to pull permits. And this is why we saw a gigantic dip from the number here is 1,900. I believe this is in 1,000 units, probably. So 1.9 million permits to 1.4 million units, now to 1.5. So 500,000 permits less, which means the builders are not building enough. And how much is the need for new housing? How many houses do we need? Again, it just takes a little bit of a research. We're gonna go here in CNN. I don't love these guys, but whatever, we can use these guys. The gap between single-family home construction and household formation grew by 6.5 million homes between 2012 and 2022. So basically, in the past 10 years, post the 2008 financial crisis, builders have been building less than what household formation was. So the gap between the amount of homes we need and the amount of families we're creating is becoming larger and larger. On top of that, builders now are down again, building less than what they should, leading this discrepancy to become worse and worse. What does this mean? It means that if inventory is an issue now and we're not building enough and interest rates stay high, the issue of inventory will become worse and worse in the future. And by the time maybe during the next financial crisis, where the Federal Reserve will drop interest rates dramatically, as it happened in 2008, there will be no inventory for people to buy, and sellers who are now sitting on literally a bar of gold will be pumping up prices like crazy, as we saw in 2021, where people were bidding up 10% compared to the seller listing price, which is nuts. What does this mean for you? How should you react? What should you do? Well, we know that the median price didn't really move a lot. We know that interest rates are very high. We know that there is a high demand for housing and that the discrepancy between how much we're building and how many houses are needed is getting higher and higher, which means that in terms of the general rule of demand and supply of economics, and the housing market runs on that too, it means that there's a high demand for houses, which means that a house is needed, that a house, as per now, potentially, not financial advice and do your research, could be an interesting investment, whether you're doing it to rent it out or buying it for yourself and avoiding to pay the mortgage of somebody else by paying them rent. It is still a valid purchase. Now, what is the best way to buy a house in today's market? That is a very interesting one. I believe that if you cannot afford the city you're living in most cases, young people live in the bigger cities paying a lot of rent. Probably the best option for you to do is to move a little bit more outside. I live in Northern Virginia, which is close to Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. houses are prohibitive, and the more you get far away, the better and cheaper it becomes. Right now, I'm in the Leesburg area. It's getting expensive here too, so the next closest section is Winchester. If you live in New York, look around New Jersey and find a spot that is well connected with public transport. Yes, it is a sacrifice to move out of the bigger cities that you have all your friends in and your whole life. But it could be the difference between having to be a renter for the next 10 years and throwing, the average rent is $1,700 a month, so throwing 20 grand a year, for somebody else and putting it in your pocket if you buy, which is quite a difference. It can set you up for financial, let's say, well-being in the future. It can set you up to own another house later on and rent out the one you own right now. It can set you up to have a better pension plan. Definitely can help a lot. Now, is renting a waste of money? Not always, because it can give you flexibility. If you're a person that moves a lot, don't worry, you're not lagging behind. However, if you have a very stationary job, would owning a house actually help you out a lot? Well, if you look at the average millionaire data, most millionaires became millionaires, thankfully, thanks to owning real estate. Because by owning real estate throughout a long time, especially in the past 10 years, the appreciation only led to a majority of their net worth increase. So these are multiple points of view. Me personally, I will keep on investing. I'm buying houses cash in very cheap areas right now. I'm preparing myself for a point where interest rates will be lower so that I can pull out all the equity that I created and invest it in houses before the entire society discovers that maybe now is the time to buy. I do not believe that we're going to go through a 2008 financial crisis. Again, this is my opinion, not financial advice, based on what I see and the data I see because of supply and demand. We might see a slight slowdown in the housing price increases. Why? Because I believe the Federal Reserve will stay where we are in terms of interest rates. They will not cut interest rates for a while because the economy needs to suffer a little bit. The only point where I see housing prices drop a lot if that, let's say, unemployment goes up by 100%. So right now we're around 3%. If we go around 6 to 7%, and some of the people that own a house or are paying for a mortgage will lose a job, but we might see foreclosures and houses flooding the market and prices going down. But as per now, at today's interest rates, we're still creating more jobs than what we're losing. Unemployment is still going down. The last jobs report was much stronger, twice as strong than expectations. So I don't see this happening very soon. With that said, guys, I gave you my opinion. I hope it will lead you to do some research, to learn a little bit more about the market, to look at different numbers, also to get your own opinion. And this is all. If you would like me to cover other factors about real estate, please let me know. I might do a video about it. Thank you. And if you like what I'm doing, please like and subscribe. Ciao.